Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Joe. I'm going to be facilitating this course for you today. And today we're going to be talking about something really exciting, which is the new Office 2021 features. So Office 2021 has just launched, and there are so many new features you'll find, whether it's co-authoring features or inking tools or data types or functions in Excel, translations in Outlook. There's so many features, and they're really easy to use. So today we're going to talk about quite a few of them. We're going to get into some Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and Word, and we're going to have a lot of fun. The first thing we're going to talk about in this video is the visual refresh. Any of your Office applications that you open have now had a major visual overview. So if I open up Word, for instance, you'll see that even the starting really changed. I'll try to pause that there for you real quick. Right here, you'll notice that it does have a new little style, even on the startup as well. Now, once it opens up, you may not see much in terms of changes on your startup page, but the minute you open up into a document, you will see the new and improved ribbon. Now, the ribbon has still the tabs, you'll still see command groups, you'll still see the commands, but you'll see a more rounded corners there and just a simpler, coloration, monotone view to it. So I really do like the new design. It does take some getting used to when you first start, but I do love it. Makes it very simplistic. You'll also notice that under here we do have our quick access toolbar where we can still customize it. It could be shown above the ribbon or below the ribbon, whichever works for you. And I do like it below the ribbon this time because you'll see that with every single Office application, we now have the autosave and the save that is automatically on the top of the ribbon where the quick access toolbar used to be. So now when you click the little drop down and you show it below the ribbon, it just makes more sense for me, and it doesn't take up as much space as it does with the older versions, and I just really like it a lot. So the visual overview here, it looks great. They did an amazing job, and what we're going to talk about next once we come back is a couple of the new Excel features and functions that came up. We'll show you XLOOKUP, the sort function. We're going to go into the unique function, more of these dynamic array functions, and also the sequence function. So pause your videos, come back, and we'll have some fun. Many of you have probably used VLOOKUP or HLOOKUP or even index and match in the past. Today I'm going to show you a new function called XLOOKUP. Now XLOOKUP is an amazing function that replaces both VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP because it allows us to get rid of those requirements that VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP placed on our data sets. For instance, in VLOOKUP, we would have to have the leftmost column be the lookup value, and it would have to match what we're looking up by. It would also have to be in ascending order as well, otherwise it wouldn't work properly. With XLOOKUP, it looks both left and right, so we don't even have to worry about any of those limitations that VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP gave us. So right here, I have some data. I have a master list here with the start date, we have the department, and the name of the person. And what I want to do is I simply want to look up what department these group of people are in from my master list. So to do this, normally we would have to go in and use VLOOKUP or HLOOKUP. But the problem is I can't even use VLOOKUP based off the limitation because I'm looking up by the name, and the name is in the rightmost column, not the leftmost column. So right away, I won't be able to use it. Another thing is it's not in ascending order. So there's your second limitation right there. But once again, with XLOOKUP, you don't even have to worry about that. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'll zoom in a little here, is I'm going to go into my H2 cell, and I'm going to start typing out my equal sign and the new lookup function, XLOOKUP. Now there's quite a few little things we can do here. The first thing we can do is search for lookup value. It's asking us, what are we looking up by? And I'm looking up by simply the name. So I'm looking up Julius. I'll put my comma. The next thing it's going to ask me is the lookup array. Where are we looking for this name? Well, it's going to be found in one of these listed names here. So I'm going to just simply start with C2, And then I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut, which is Control-Shift down arrow, to select the rest of the data. Then I'm going to put my comma. It's going to ask me, what do I want to return? And I'm going to say, well, once you find this name in this list, I'm simply looking for the department they're in. So I'm going to select from B2 all the way down to B34. So now it's saying, okay, we're going to look for this name in the list of names. And when we find that name, we're going to return what department they're in. And I'm like, that's exactly what I want. So really, you only need these three major arguments: lookup value, lookup array, and what you want to return. Now, there are other arguments as well. We have if not found. So that means that if I put a random name in here, instead of it giving me an error, it'll give me whatever I write in here. For instance, I could write something like doesn't exist. And then the match mode. The match mode means, are we trying to find the closest match, or are we trying to find an exact match? Now, by default, it's going to turn on to exact match. And then the last thing that it's going to ask us, if we wanted to, is the search mode. Do we want to return the first search or the second search? So for instance, if Julius was working in sales but then switched to research, which one do we want? Do we want the sales to be returned, or do we want research to be returned? So we can look up the first or last value. But once again, these three are totally optional. So I will just simply put an if not found statement, and I'll put doesn't exist, just like that. Now I can close my parentheses, press enter, and it will tell me that Julius was in sales. And now I can simply just autofill down, and there we go. Now if I did add a random name here, since we filled out that if not found, if I put in Joe Patty, which is my name, and will give me a big salary, why not? And then I want to just simply see what department I'm in. It'll say it doesn't exist, instead of giving you that weird error that you would normally get if we didn't fill out doesn't exist. So if I took this out and I just simply press enter, it would give you an NA, which means not applicable, which means that I'm just not part of the list. But when people see NA, they tend to get nervous. So that's why I like to always add the doesn't exist or maybe not available, things like that. We can do the same thing with our bonus as well. If I want to just pull out the bonus, you'll see here that they're all in different order. We're going to search by salary in here, but this time we need to make sure that we're searching for the actual salary that's in between. And we don't want an exact match, because if we do an exact match, I don't have any salaries that are exactly these numbers. So we do want to make sure that we do a closest match. So for instance, I'm going to do equals XLOOKUP. What am I looking up by? Well, the yearly salary. Where am I looking for it? Well, here in the salary. What do I want to return? Well, I want to return the bonuses, how much percentage they get. Now I'm going to skip if not found, so I'll just put a comma and a comma. Now it's asking me for the match mode, and it gives me 4 options: exact match or next smaller, exact match or next larger, or wildcard. And I'm going to do an exact match or next smaller. So I'll double click on that. My search mode, I'm just going to keep it blank as well, so I'll just close this off and press enter. And then it's going to just simply give me what bonus I want. Now, of course, I'm going to put a percentage on this one so that it shows me 10%. And I'm going to change the rest of these to a percentage formatting so that when we do finally go like this, ooh, but you see what happened here? It's telling me that there's some sort of issue. It's saying, well, Joe, the 51 returned 10% because the lowest one next to it was 10%. The 47, though, didn't return anything. Neither did the 58, and so on and so forth. And the reason why is because if you look through all of these at the top, nothing was actually set in stone. So even though the G2 is changing, which is nice because we want that to change, we don't really want these other formulas to change, which they are. So if we go through, you'll see F15 through F18, F15 through F19, then it goes F16, F20. So you want to be sure that when you type out your formulas, you do make sure to absolute reference it. And you can do this by using the F4 key on your keyboard, and it will automatically put your dollar signs into absolute reference so they don't change. Now when we press enter, we can go through and look at that, cleans it up perfectly. So looks great. I love XLOOKUP. It's one of my favorite features. VLOOKUP was always a little bit of a limitation, so this replaces that. I hope you enjoyed that. Try it out on your own. The next function I'm going to show you is what's known as the sort function, and it's part of our dynamic array functions. Now, I really do like this function a lot, and it allows you to sort all of your data in a way that you want. So for instance, if I come over here and I do equals sort, I can just simply sort arrange an array of data. Now, the first thing it's going to ask you is, what do you want to sort? And I actually want to sort all of this information. So I'm going to select from A2 all the way down. So I'm going to use Control Shift right, Control Shift down to D38. And this will give me all of my data. Now I'm not including my headers here because I don't want it to be included in this sorting. So I'm just going to sort it from A2 to D38. And then if I press enter right now, it's going to automatically sort it by the first name column here. And then it's going to sort it in ascending. So that's the default. So you'll see the minute I press enter, if I add no other arguments, it will just simply sort it by the name. But there are other arguments here. We have like a sort index. So if I put my comma, I can now choose what I want to index this by. So what do I want to sort by? Do I want to sort by the first column, the second, or the third? And I want to sort by hiring date. So I'm going to put a 3 there, and it's going to know now that I'm sorting by the hiring date column because it's in the third column. I'll put another column, and it's going to now ask me, what do you want to sort by, ascending or descending? And I'm going to say, let's sort it ascending, so I'll put a 1. Now the last option is by column. So it's asking me if my data is sorted by the column or by the row. By default, it's going to be false by row, so you don't even have to fill that out. When I press enter, it's now sorting everything, but it's sorting it by date of hire since we put that index as 3. So this is a really great way to start to sort your data without affecting your original data. The next function we're going to talk about is called unique. And what it allows you to do is go through a list or a data set, and it allows you to return the distinct amount of items within that column. So for instance, if I wanted to see how many departments I have overall or how many divisions I have overall, and you'll see there's many repeats, and I don't really know what's in there, I can use the unique function to just simply return everything that's unique. So let's say, for instance, I want to see how many divisions do I have. I can do equals unique, and it's going to say, what is the array? What are you looking at? And I'm going to say the divisions. So I'm going to select from C2, use my Control Shift down arrow to select the rest of my data from C2 to C95. And when I press enter, it tells me that out of all of this list of data, there's actually only 4 unique values, which is Maine, Connecticut, and New Hampshire and Vermont. Now, not only that, but I can actually do 2 at once. So if I wanted to see division and department, how many unique values I have in each of those, I can do equals, I can do my unique, and I can just select my array as C2 all the way down to D95. So I select both of them and press enter. And it'll give me all the unique values that there can be. So Maine sales, Connecticut sales, New Hampshire sales, Vermont sales, and then it's going to go through the rest of them as well. Now the last thing that I would probably use unique for is if I type in equals unique, and let's say for instance that I want to, I don't know, maybe look at a certain column like hours. But instead of looking for unique values, I want to see how many hours were only listed one time. So once again, what is my array? My hours, F2 through F95. Now when I put my column, it's going to say, do you want to return this by columns or rows? And since my data is in rows, I'm going to just simply use false. Or you could just double click it. Next, it's going to say, do you want to return items that appear exactly once or return every distinct item? And this time I want to see, is there any hours that only occurred once? So I'm going to select once. So it's going to be true. And when I press enter, the only value that is in this list one time is 55. Pretty amazing. So I love this new dynamic feature, and I hope you love it too. The last dynamic array function I'm going to show you today is called the sequence function. Now, what it does is it simply puts numbers in a sequence. So for instance, if I do equals sequence, and it's going to first ask me how many rows there are, I can simply put 20 and press enter, and it's going to display all the way down this rows 20 different numbers in sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, the rest of this formula, if I did that again, is going to be how many rows do I want? Well, maybe I still want 20 rows, but then it's going to ask me how many columns do I want to put the rows in? And maybe I want to do 2 columns. So I'm going to do 2 columns, and when I press enter, it's going to give me 1, 2, 3, 4, so going all the way down, and it should reach 40 because it's going to give me 20 sequential numbers in each column. Now I can continue to do this. So let's say, for instance, I want to now start it at a certain number. So the start argument just simply starts it at whatever number I want. So I can do simply start at 5. And when I press enter, it's now starting at the number 5. And then it'll go 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way down. And then the last thing I could do is the amount of steps I want. So maybe I want to go every 5 steps. And when I press enter, now you'll see that it is in increments of 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, all the way down. So how does this actually help us though when we're actually doing data? Well, let's say for instance that I wanted to filter out this data. And I guess I'll give you this little bonus dynamic array, which is the filter array. It's also a new one as well. So I'm going to do equals filter. And what it does is it simply filters an array. So the array is going to be this data set. From A2, I'm going to use Control Shift to the right, Control Shift down to select all my data. Now for this data, I only want to include anything that is over 35 hours. So I'm going to select from G2 all the way down to G95. And I'm going to say that from G2 to G95, if there's anything that is greater than 35 hours, I want you to include it in this report. I'll then close my parentheses, press enter, and there we go. I now have all my employees that are over 35 hours. Now, where sequence comes in is I want to have it just in a sequence. So I want to have how many of these are actually here. And I don't want to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to use the sequence equals sequence. And instead of just putting how many rows there are, I'm actually going to use my count A, which will count how many number of cells are not empty. So when I press tab here, I'm going to just select from L2. Let's do L3 all the way down to wherever my ending is here, which is L67. So I'll do L67. And there we go. I now have all my data. So from L3 to L67. Now that I have that, I can close this, close it again, press enter, and there we go. I now have my sequential order going all the way down. And since it's dynamic, if I do decide to change this filter in any way, my sequential ordering will change as well. So for instance, if I double click here and I want to look at anyone that's over 40 hours and press enter, well, now you'll see that it only goes to 4. So really cool little function here, both the filter and the sequence function. Try it out for yourselves. Thanks. The let function is one of my favorite new features of 2021 for Office. It allows you to be very similar to a programmer, where you assign a variable to one of your calculations. So for instance, let's say I have this data here. I have menu items, the price of them, the total units I sold, and then how much I made total. But I have to pay taxes. So I know my taxes are 8%. Now, normally what I would do is I would put the tax rate up here, and then I would put 8% here. And I would have to multiply the total by this 8%. So I could do equals this total multiplied by 8% and press enter. The problem with this is when I want to autofill, it's not going to work because what's ending up happening is it's doing D2 times H1. Then if I go here, it's going to do H3 or D3 times H2. So you'll see that it's going down because of, well, autofill, which is using relative reference. Instead, what I'm going to do is I would have to go in here and add my dollar signs and anchor the H1. So when I do this, now what's going to happen is it's going to stick. It's going to say, okay, we're doing D2 times H1. We're doing D3 times H1. Because we put the dollar signs, it's not moving. Now, of course, this works great. But instead, we could just delete all of this altogether, delete all of this out, and we can use the new let function to help us out instead. Now, as I said before, the let function allows us to name anything we want. So I'm going to do equals let, and it's going to first tell me, what do you want to name this function? What do you want to name the variable here? What do you want to name the value? And I'm going to call it, well, tax, right? Because it is the tax. And you can just write out the word tax, no quotation marks. The next thing it's going to ask us is, what is the value of tax? Well, we know what it is. It's 8%. So now forever, the word tax in all of our formulas is going to be 8%. Now the third thing we have to do is just simply do our calculation, which is this number multiplied by the word tax. That's it. So now we've named what tax is. Tax is simply 8%. Now we're taking D2 and multiplying it by 8%. When we close this and press enter, we get our number. And now because we name this as a variable, all I have to do is autofill, and it automatically will work for us because tax is forever known as 8%. You may have seen this before in what's known as named ranges, where you can define a name. But instead of doing this now and defining a name, you can do it within the actual let function. So this is just really amazing. I love this new feature. I love this new function, and I'm going to be definitely using it from now on. With Office 2021 comes a new feature called Ink Replay. Now you can apply the new replay or rewind animation to ink to get that drawing effect directly in your presentations. You can even adjust the timing of these animations to be faster or slower, or you can even pause them at any time you want. So for instance, the first thing you'll do is go to your Draw tab, and you'll notice there is a little bit of a revamp on your drawing tools. So we have our drawing tools here, our ruler, we have conversions, and we have our ink replay. Now this is a great tool. For instance, if I wanted to draw something, like let's draw anything here. I'll draw an arrow. So I'm going to draw this arrow and point to something. Maybe I want to point to this circle. And then I want to show how this changes to a square. And then I'm going to change this into a triangle. Now, even though this is a very simplistic example, watch how amazing this is. I can now do an ink replay, and it'll play the whole thing. And I can speed it up or slow it down as much as I want to, or even go step by step. So I can say, here's the first object, which is the circle. And then I can pause it right there and talk about the circle. Then I could say, well, the next process would be the square. And once again, I can stop it right there and talk about the square. So this is going to come really in handy, and it's going to make it outstanding to other presentations that you've done in the past. Now, besides this, there is also a couple other features when it comes to using the inking or the drawing tab. For instance, you'll see that my circle isn't quite right, neither is my square, and neither is my triangle. But what we can do is we can take this lasso, we can circle this, and then we can simply ink this to a shape. And what it's going to do is it's going to make it a perfect circle, just like that. And we can do that again for the rest of them. I can just grab my lasso, circle over, ink to shape, perfect. And then last but not least, we'll circle over the triangle, ink to shape. Beautiful. And if we circle over this, let's see, if we ink to shape, nice. So you'll see, even if we're just free drawing, we can always just clean things up a little more by using this little lasso. And now it's not going to always work perfectly. You'll see here that it thought we were using some triangles. So be sure when you're using these, you're actually trying to be as neat as possible. You can even, if I wanted to, let's say that I want to draw my name. And I'm using a mouse, so it is hard for me to draw, but this works really well if you're using a stylus or a touchpad. And now what I can do is I can lasso this entire name just like that, and I can ink to text. And look at that, beautiful. So if we are on a quick pad and we're writing stuff and we don't understand our own handwriting, we can always go back and ink it to text. Same thing with math. It's always been hard to write math in here, so if I just go like this, and then I circle it, I can ink it to math. Now, if there is something that comes up where it's like, we don't understand, that's okay, just do it again. You'll see here now it has 1/4. Ink to math also has a equation editor where we can start to draw things like a squared plus b squared, and it's analyzing everything at this moment equals c squared. And then we can insert that. And there we go. So pretty amazing new features here and just a better overall experience with the Draw tab. Now we've seen some amazing new features for Office 2021, but this one's one of my favorites and it's for Outlook. So if you work with a lot of organizations that are outside of your country, this could come really in handy. It's known as the translation tool. Now, once you open up just a simple email, all you have to do is click on the 3 dots in the top right-hand corner, and you will see something called Translate Message. Now I can translate this message into anything I want, and I translated it from English into Spanish. Now I can always show the original message if I wanted to, and then I can change between Spanish and English, which is really amazing. To change what other languages you want, you'll go to Translation Preferences, and then you can go down to the bottom and change Translate Message into any type of message, like for instance, Russian. And when I click OK, it will then translate from English to Russian. Pretty amazing. So if you get any languages in different, or any emails in different languages, you can quickly translate them. I hope you all enjoyed this presentation of all the new Office 2021 features. There are so many other features as well, and if you wanted to, you can go Google 2021 features for Office. It will show you a whole array of different options there for Visio, for PowerPoint, for Outlook, Excel, Word, Access. So quite a few updates, really amazing. And thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you all next time.